Welcome to the Actually You Can podcast. I'm Miff Galloway, a performance coach passionate about supporting ambitious and high-performing women just like you who know they have untapped potential just waiting to be unleashed. If you're looking to massively up-level your performance in all areas of life, you've come to the right place. My goal on this podcast is to take you beneath the surface so you can connect with yourself on a deeper level while providing you with valuable insights and the tools necessary to navigate life's challenges and go after your goals with strength, clarity, and wisdom. If you're ready to uncover the truth which lies underneath so you can recognize your powerful feminine leadership style, pursue your goals unapologetically, and thrive in every aspect of your life, hit the follow button and get ready to explore the incredible possibilities that lie within you. Together, we'll uncover your next steps in achieving peak performance, because actually, you can. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Actually You Can podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting with Jenny Harkleroad, a best-selling author and mind change expert who overcame chronic pain, addiction, and a life-changing injury by tapping into the power of her mind. Jenny's story is not only inspiring, but filled with practical insights on using our minds to transform our lives. We're going to be talking about the science of success. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Jenny.
Thank you, Miff. Thanks for having me. You're awesome, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And so to kick us off, I'd love for you to share with the audience, how did you get started in this work? What was your story? What was the catalyst to starting to work with the subconscious mind?
It was on a specific day, actually. It was August 10th of 2013. I was standing on this mountain ledge with my husband, and he said, if I was young and in shape, I'd jump off of here. And I quickly thought, I go to the gym every day. I'm in shape. I'm pretty young. And I jumped. And when I landed on a rock down below, and rocks don't give. And I heard a crunch in my back, and I couldn't move. And he climbed down and tried to get me up, and he couldn't. And our friends tried to get me up, and they ended up calling an emergency, and they sent in a ground crew. They hiked in to try to get me off the mountain. They couldn't get me off the mountain. They called a helicopter, life flighted me out of there. And when I woke up in the hospital, they told me that I had broken my back. What? I was so shocked, I didn't even know. I literally said, does that mean I can't go to Ashtanga yoga tonight? I mean, what does that mean? They're like, yeah, you're not going anywhere. Thankfully, I wasn't paralyzed, but I was definitely broken. And they told me, it's a broken bone. Like any broken bone, it'll heal. You just need to lay low for about 6 weeks, and then you'll start getting some mobility, and then you'll be all right. And I'm a go-getter personality. And so 6 weeks sounded like 6 lifetimes. Like I was supposed to lay in bed for 6 weeks. Like sometimes my husband, one day he said, I think something spilled on the couch. Don't sit on it, just so you know. And I'm like, sit on the couch? I don't think I've ever sat on her couch before. Like, what do you mean sit on the couch? Like I'm a go, go, go. So at the time, we have 4 kids, and at the time they were younger. So of course that's part of the go, 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 right? And then I had a real estate company that was super successful. And so, between the 4 kids and the 200 phone calls a day, I mean, it was a zoo. Now, of course, at the same time, I also ran the women's organization in my church and fundraised in my community and did all the things. So again, laying in bed was not part of my idea of fun. And so as I was laying there, I was thinking, I need to obviously heal, but you know what? I want to fix my life because there's a lot of things about my life that I don't really like, and I don't know how to change them. Because let's say I want to communicate better with my husband, I read a communication book, and then I think, okay, I got this. And then we get an argument, and I'm like, what? But I just read that whole book. Like, how come that didn't work? It was like whatever I tried, maybe it would temporarily work, but then I would kind of like fall back into my old ways. And so for 20 years, I said positive affirmations like I'm happy and I'm healthy and I'm terrific. And then I just wasn't. So I pretended I was, like fake it till you make it. But I was always faking it instead of making it. And so while I laid there, I was thinking, how do I turn my life around? I mean, it looks good from the outside. Like I married my high school sweetheart. We have 4 beautiful kids. We have all these homes and things because of the success, and I had a good religious foundation. Like what's missing? What's my problem? How come I'm not happy? And so I had a lot of reflection time. And guess what? 6 weeks was not long enough. 6 weeks turned into 3 years. The pain would not go away. I couldn't function. I couldn't sit. I couldn't drive. And nobody could figure out what to do with me. And so that's when things really got desperate because the doctors told me my case was hopeless. They put rods and screws and a synthetic disc in my back. That didn't help. I was seeing acupuncture and chiropractor, massage and physical therapy, and that didn't help. So now what? What do I do? And that's when I was introduced to Dr. Warren Jacobs, MD, who told me, Jenny, you can heal yourself with your mind. What? Wait, what kind of doctor are you again? MD? That stands for medical doctor? Are you sure? Why, my mind? Like, this is my back. What are you talking about? And we'll get into the story, but long story short, 6 sessions later, I was completely healed. I mean, I could do handstands and back bends, like healed. And I was so grateful and could not believe what happened to me. And I became obsessed with the power of the mind.
That is such an incredible story. And I really wanted to start there because I think if we started with just diving straight into the subconscious mind, people are like, oh, what are these whack jobs talking about? But no. You have to, sometimes you need to see it to believe it. And I really
Yeah.
like how you said the 6 week mark, you're like, okay, cool. 6 weeks isn't good, like is too long. And then despite I'm assuming every attempt at recovery, it was still 3 years
Yeah.
on and you're still feeling incredible amounts of pain. And it's almost when
Yeah.
we get to that point of desperation, and I can resonate with that feeling. And then you start considering alternative therapies that you're like, you know what, I actually have nothing to lose. And then that's when you start, in my experience, to gain a hell of a lot more when you realize I'm just going to go outside the box, go outside the normal, and you can just watch what expands for you. So I'd love to dig into the next part of that story. What happened when you met that doctor?
Yeah, it was a fascinating appointment because first off, I called him and he answered his phone. So I thought, this is just weird. And then he said, come over. And I'm like, come over where and when? And he's like, my house right now. And I'm like, what?
You're like, wait,
And then I
what
get
is this?
there. I know. And then I get there and he's this 86-year-old medical doctor working out of his house. He takes me through this dark adobe house, through this long dark hallway. Like I couldn't even see where I was headed. Takes me into the office and he says, okay, so why are you here? And I said, I'm in terrible pain. It's been 3 years. Here's my massive medical file and I need help. And he said, okay, well, let's see what we can do for you. And he said, are you familiar with muscle testing? And I said, yeah, actually I am. I mean, my dad is a chiropractor and chiropractors use muscle testing. And for your audience, if people listening don't know what it is, it's like this biofeedback system from your body. Your body can answer. And how they do it is put your arm straight out and the doctor, whoever is working with you, will press on your arm. And if something's true, your arm will stay up. And if something's false, your arm will go down. Now, if you've never seen this before, it looks like a trick. I mean, it's like, for real?
Yeah.
Is that really happening? But I saw it growing up as a kid so many times with my dad and helping people. And it was normal to me. So he said, give me your arm. Why are you hurting, Jenny? And I'm like, well, duh, Dr. Warren, I broke my back. That's why I'm hurting. My arm goes down when he presses it. That means, no, that's not why you're hurting. And he goes, oh, doesn't seem to be that. And I was thinking, what? How could it not be? I mean, okay. He says, maybe it's something else. What could it be? And I don't know. What could it be? He said, maybe nutritional. Now, remember, I'm a go-getter. While I was stuck in bed, I might have happened to write a 400-page book on nutrition. So I was really hoping it wasn't a nutritional problem, or else I'd have to pull my book off the shelves, right? So he tests, he presses my arm down, it goes down. I'm like, okay, good. It's not nutrition. Okay, perfect. He says, I don't know, maybe it's your energy. Like, I mean, we're literally an energetic being, like scientific tools can test our energy field. He's like, maybe something's off with your energy. And at that time, I know what the heck he was talking about. Put out my arm, he pressed it down. No, it's not that. Okay, Jenny, why are you hurting? I'm like, I don't know, Dr. Warren. Why am I hurting? He goes, well, I don't know. Maybe it's emotional. And I'm thinking, what? Emotional? Like, no, this is my back, but whatever. Put in my arm. He presses it and it stays up. And I'm like, press harder.
It can't be emotional.
I'm like, stand on my arm. I mean, my arm would not budge. And he's like, oh, this physical pain is actually emotional pain showing up physically. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That is ridiculous. And he goes, well, I don't know. Let's just talk about it for a minute. Like, tell me about your childhood. And I go, oh, yeah, I don't talk about my childhood. And he goes, well, tell me about your marriage. I'm like, yeah, I don't talk about my marriage. And he's like, I thought you didn't have emotional issues. And I'm like, I don't. I start reciting my positive affirmations. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I'm terrific. I just can't sit, can't drive, can't function, burning back pain. And he says, well, you're either going to have to tell me some things or there's the door. I mean, and I was like, oh, man, do you have any tissue? He's like, actually, I do. So I started telling him about my life. And, first off, my life wasn't that bad. I mean, a lot of people go through a lot worse stuff. But the main thing was that when I was born, my mom says I was born an adult. So she would tell me what to do. And I go like, why are you telling me what to do? I decide what to do for myself. This is me as like a 1-year-old, right? She'd be like, it's nap time. I'm like, no, not taking a nap. She's like, I'm in charge. No, you're not. I'm in charge of myself. This is how it went. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the tension for my whole growing up, that she was constantly telling me what to do. And I was constantly saying, you are not in charge of me. Yeah. And she would say, yes, I am. I am your mother. And I'm like, I don't understand this concept. What does that have to do with what I want to do with my life? So it was just this constant battle between us. And that was hard to handle because guess who won? Mom, right? So, I mean, when I was 2, I asked if I could move out. I was like, this is crazy. This lady is controlling my life. Okay, so I came in with a mind of my own. Now, the funny thing, I didn't want to do anything bad. I just didn't want to do what she wanted me to do when she wanted me to do it, So there was a lot of issues there. And I had, never dealt with any of that, just suppressed it. And then I think of it like I came into my marriage as kind of like, I would say wounded because of this trauma I had been through. And so I was very sensitive, but it would come out as anger. So if my feelings would get hurt, I'd get upset. And so I was like, gosh, I'm not happy in my marriage because I'm always angry at this guy because he was always hurting me. It felt like, but it's just because I was like this wounded soul who never like healed stuff. And so I worked through this stuff with the doctor, all with muscle testing, figuring out what was going on. And I didn't feel better. And he would say, do you want to come back and do this again? I'd be like, no. And he'd say, give me your arm. And my arm would stay up like, yes, I want to come back. I'm like, are you tricking me? Like, how is my arm staying up? I do not like this. But my body, I could feel it. My body was like, no, go back, talk some more. So I went back and I went back and I went back and I went back. The day after the sixth session, the pain just stopped. It shut off like a light switch. It was gone. Like I could do handstands and back bends. It was completely gone. I was shocked. Like I thought it was going to turn back on. I was so afraid to move, right? But it never turned back on. And so I went back to him and I was like, this is a miracle. I mean, I don't understand. How did this happen? And he said, well, when you suppress all those things for all those years, it causes tension in your body. So what I was doing was tensing my back. He says it tends to subconsciously go to a weak place in your body where you had a past injury. I was tensing my back even though I couldn't feel it. And just like if you were lifting weights, the more you lift, the more it burns. Well, if you want the burn to stop, you got to stop lifting, right? The back, it was burning, burning, burning like a fire. It was because it was tense, 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 right? But if you let go of that, it just stops hurting. So I was already healed. I mean, I had had surgery. I had done all those natural things to heal. It had been 3 years, but I thought it wasn't healed because of all that tension in my body. And so I told him, I'm like, this is the greatest thing in the world. And now, can you help me stop taking pain pills? Can you help me like my husband again? Can you help me get rid of my bad temper? Can you help me lose weight? Can you help me get rid of my allergies? Can you help me find a career I love? I mean, the list went on and on and on. And he's like, yeah, you can do anything with the power of your subconscious mind. That's what I was missing, the subconscious mind.
Wow. And so, oh my God, there's so much in that. And so you're sitting there in those sessions and he's asking you questions, doing some testing on your muscles. At what point are you like, this is just complete bullshit? Like, what is he doing? And at what point did you start believing it? Or were you just that in pain, that desperate that you're like, I don't care how this is working, but it's working. I'm here for it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it seemed super weird. It seemed really odd, but I believed in muscle testing
Yep.
and I could feel the muscle test. I could feel that he was trying to press my arm down and I could feel that my body was keeping my arm up.
Yeah.
So I could feel it. He would tell me, Jenny, stop hurting yourself. And I'm like, I can't feel that I'm hurting myself. He's like, you're tensing your back. Stop tensing your back. And I would touch it and I'd move. And I'm like, it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything, But the muscle test would say, no, this is emotional pain. It's tension, all these things. I could feel the muscle test. So I believed him, but I just wasn't sure, how is this going to resolve?
Yeah.
Because me telling you all my sob stories, is that going to fix this? Because I've told some of my sob stories to a therapist, and the therapist said, I didn't tell you this part, I actually suffered with chronic pain most of my life before even breaking my back. Okay. Can you see what happened?
Yeah.
Suppression of all the emotions, tension in the body, pain in the body. So when I talked to a psychologist before, they're like, you know what? You need to go get your body fixed, and then we'll work on your life. It was like I was always in so much pain. And again, people didn't know it. I would take like 30 ibuprofen a day because then I could act like I was fine. I would take pain pills because then I could act like I was fine. I wasn't, but I didn't know how to get better. So what am I going to do? Lay around whining and crying? No, I'm going to go make money because I'm good at that.
And so why do people, like what you mentioned your therapist suggest we treat the physical rather than the subconscious straight off the bat? I mean, I'm just thinking, if I sprained my ankle, for example, the first thing that I'm going to do is, rest, the RICE protocol, rest, ice, compression, elevation, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
think about what tension have I got in my body or how did I particularly manifest this myself. And so
Yeah.
I very much believe that the universe is going to keep sending us messages and they're going to get louder and louder until we finally take notice of them, whether that's a serious injury or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
why do you think that we pay so much attention to the physical realm as opposed to the internal stuff?
Yeah. I think it's just, for us in America, it's Western medicine. Your knee hurts. You go, what's wrong with my knee? You go to a doctor, they check out your knee.
Mm,
It's just how we were raised.
mm,
So that is now our subconscious program,
mm,
right? We wake up with a stiff neck and we go, oh, I must have slept weird, right? We don't think like, what was I stressing out about during the night that caused tension in my neck so that it's stiff this morning?
mm,
And so it's just how we were raised. We're not raised to think, oh, what's going on emotionally? We think somebody's got an old football injury, they've got old whiplash injury from a car accident. It can go on their whole life.
mm.
In America, and I think also in Australia, we spend more money on pain relief than diabetes, heart disease, and cancer combined. I mean, it's an epidemic of pain
Mm,
from, my belief, is suppressed emotion, which causes tension, which causes pain. And then it just becomes a pain habit, a pain pattern, a pain signal where our brain keeps going there. Or if you were like me, I would solve one pain problem and then the next one would pop up. Then I'd solve that and the next one would pop up my whole life, then the next one. It was always something physically wrong with me to distract me from dealing with all those emotions.
mm. Yeah, it's so true because I think if and the example of your story was like physically you were fine, you had the operation, they couldn't tell that anything was wrong, yet you were still in pain. And I think that's a really good indicator. I mean, I'm very much under the belief that if you have symptoms in the physical realm, then yes, get those treated. Like you have a big cut or a broken bone, yes, get that looked at. But if
Yeah.
everything is fine in the physical space and there's still underlying symptoms or anything, there is something deeper that needs to be paid attention to.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And the power of your subconscious mind, you can actually, this is something I do. You mentioned like twisting your ankle. If I were to twist my ankle today, what I would do is a process. It's kind of like a dream. Like when you're dreaming, you believe it, you think it's real. And then you wake up and you're in your pajamas and you're like, darn, I'm not at Disneyland, right? So I have a subconscious process that gets the brain to believe in a different reality,
Mm,
whatever reality I want it to believe in. And so if I twisted my ankle right now, I would immediately close my eyes and do a brain exercise to get my brain to think it never happened.
mm,
Because if my brain thinks the ankle never got twisted, guess what will happen? It won't swell, it
mm,
won't hurt, it won't bruise.
mm,
I mean, I've been doing this. It fascinates me every time. I'll be like, I cannot believe that I just tricked my brain into thinking that thing didn't happen and now it doesn't hurt. Or it's like so red and like, oh my gosh, and then it just clears. The power of your subconscious mind. It's a million times more powerful than your conscious mind.
mm.
Usually, when you're hurt, you put so much focus on that. Oh my gosh, and I'm not saying, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't ice it, don't rest it, don't elevate it, unless you know my tricks.
Yeah.
Then use my tricks first, right?
Yeah.
But literally, your brain controls your reality, and you can
Mm.
change your reality with your belief system. What you believe becomes your reality.
It's really interesting because I very much believe that our brains, like with visualization, I use that as a tool a lot.
Huh?
And premise being that our brains can't tell between what's real and what's fake. And so I use it in the visualization sense. I never actually thought of using it in the sense of being able to heal myself. That's really fucking cool.
Yes. Yeah. It's super cool. I
Yeah.
mean, I use it with my kids. My kids are athletes and they're like,
Yeah.
mom, my knee. Okay, let's fix that real quick. Or even like, I just got stung by a bee, make it stop hurting.
Mm.
Like whatever the thing is, you can change it with your mind. It's amazing.
And so you've had these 6 sessions, you're like, "Oh my gosh, what has happened? This is incredible. Help me fix the rest of my life." What did the journey look like from there? And obviously
Oh,
it played your career, you added this element to it. I'd love to hear more about how you took this football and ran with it as well.
yeah, for sure. So, when I went back to him and told him about all my problems, we started working on them. The next one was my pain pill addiction. And you know how it goes. Give me your arm, Jenny. Why are you taking the pain pills? I'm addicted to them. My arm goes down. Means I'm not. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I am because I can't not take them. Like, isn't that the definition of addiction, right? And he goes, well, why else would you be taking them? Maybe I'm afraid to be in pain. Maybe I think there's still a little pain. It's hiding it. Presses on my arm. No, it's not that. Maybe I'm afraid of the withdrawal, right? You hear it's bad to like detox from something. Presses on my arm. No, it's not that. I don't know, Dr. Warren, why am I taking these pain pills? Because I thought I was addicted to them. Here's the cool thing. When you learn muscle testing is the training wheels of intuition. So the more you muscle test, the more you know. And so he already knew the answer, but he was trying to help get me to figure it out. And so he said, I have an idea if you want to just guess something. And I said, okay, sure, because I got nothing. He said, maybe it's because of a person. You're taking the pain pills because of a person. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, I don't know. Let's test it. Put out my arm. He presses down. My arm stays up. I'm taking the pain pills because of a person? What? Who? Someone wants me to take pain pills? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, let's figure out who. I have no idea who. He goes, I don't know. Is it someone you live with? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what we're talking about right now, but sure, it's my husband. I put out my arm. He presses on it. My arm stays up. That means yes. He goes, oh, you're taking the pain pills because of your husband? And I'm like, he doesn't want me to take pain pills. What are you talking about? I don't understand. And he goes, well, pain pills, they numb you, not just physically, but also emotionally. He said, you told me your marriage was really hard. Maybe you're taking the pain pills to numb your marriage. What? That is crazy. Exactly. He pressed on my arm. It held. I never took another pain pill from that moment forward. Wow. It was the awareness that I was like, this is crazy. Like, I'm either going to fix it or I'm going to get out of it. I'm not going to take pain pills to stay in it. I'm not going to lie to a doctor that I'm hurting to numb my marriage, right? Not going to do it. I never took another one. Now it was a rough week, of course. I wish I would have known then what I know now, so I could have helped myself get through it, but I got through it. And so then I went back to him and I said, okay, now let's fix my marriage. I'm ready. So we started working together. Over 100 sessions about my marriage.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Wow.
Now, guess what? Here's the bad news. It didn't help. So 6 sessions to heal my back, 1 session or maybe 2, I think it was 1 to heal the pain pills, 100 for my marriage, and it didn't help. Why? So here's where we get into the subconscious mind. So sometimes things will clear with awareness and understanding. But sometimes there's habits and programs and patterns in the subconscious mind, which is programmed and automatic and just runs the program, that you can't change no matter how bad you consciously want to, unless you have some way to change the subconscious. So he was giving me all this awareness, all this conscious mind awareness of the problems, but it wasn't fixing the subconscious habits and patterns that were keeping us stuck in the bad place we were in. And so after 100 sessions, I said, you know what? I'm done. Like, I can't stay married. Like, I thought if I knew, I could fix it. And now I know, and now I can't fix it. And it's even more frustrating than not knowing. So like, I'm done. I'm out. And he says, I have a patient right now who does this thing called Psyche. And maybe you should check it out. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is, but okay. So I go home, I Google it, and it's like this really woo-woo website. And I'm like, I don't know about this. And then I kind of like dismiss it because of that. And then a couple days later, I look it back up and find somebody who does it, and their website's kind of weird and it's super expensive. And I'm like, meh. But I just kept thinking about it. And I'm like, I look it up again, and they actually had a training for it, a 3-day training to get like certified in it in LA, which is like 2 hours from me, like that week. And I said, I'm going to go. I'm going to go see what the heck this thing is all about. So I go to the training. In the meantime, Dr. Warren and I had discovered that I needed a new career because even though my career was so successful, it wasn't my purpose, it wasn't my path. It was stressing me out. It was causing tension in my body. Even though it was providing this amazing life, it wasn't the right thing for me.
Mm.
So I go to this seminar. After the first day, I'm obsessed because it's subconscious reprogramming. You figure out what you want different, you do their process, and then supposedly you change. I didn't know yet, kind of like how it worked, but I was like, oh my gosh, like you don't have to talk about your childhood. You're going to just repattern your subconscious mind. How awesome is this? And so that very night, I bought the domain name Balanced You, which is my company name. And I was like, I'm going to get out of real estate. I'm going to do this. I'm going to help people like he helped me. And maybe with an easier process to repattern the subconscious mind. I was so excited about the process. And I came home and I saw my husband, and I felt totally different about him, just like seeing him.
Mm.
I felt like kind of in love with him.
Mm.
I was like, what is happening right now? And that feeling never went away. That was over 10 years ago. What? What happened? What happened was all the negative subconscious programs and patterns that I had, probably not all of them, but a lot of them, 3 days of working on them, all of a sudden I came home and I wasn't like this wounded soul. So when he would forget to take out the trash, I wouldn't take it personally and I wouldn't get mad. I would go, oh, he forgot to take out the trash. Now, later he told me, maybe I didn't forget. Maybe I just didn't want you bossing me around. I was like, oh, that's a whole nother level or layer. But, fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And so I ended up learning that work, took all the levels of training, practiced it for several years. And then I had a business coach, Michael Gerber. He's the author of the EMIS series of books.
I love that book.
Yeah. And so I wanted to be like on TV and radio and books and stages. But there was a lot of limitations to what I could do using somebody else's work. And so he said, Jenny, you got to create your own work. I was like, how would I do that? I have a real estate license. I'm not a doctor, psychologist, or scientist. Like, how would I make my own? And he said, well, it's the same way that I never went to college, but 120 colleges teach my work in their business schools. Because I just have this gift for business and helping people in business. So you, I think, have a gift for helping people. And I think that you'd be surprised. I think you could figure out a way to help people your own way. He said, just a blank piece of paper and a beginner's mind is all you need. And so one day I was at my office and a client canceled last minute and I had a free hour. So I got out a piece of paper and somehow from somewhere came up with 3 levels of training work in my own process called Summit Transformation. Where did that come from? Then I hired a famous neuroscientist, Dr. Jeffrey Fannin, to do brain studies on it, energy field studies, cellular studies, because I want to make sure I wasn't just, making stuff up that wasn't going to work. And no, it was scientifically working. And then we started tracking our clients. And right now we have over 600 clients that we're tracking. They report a 57% improvement after working with us once within 1 week. That's the power of the subconscious mind. So that mind, it's 1,000,000 times more powerful than the conscious mind, according to scientists like Bruce Lipton. He says it controls us 95% of the time. And so we're just running these programs. And if we don't like the program, if we don't like the printout of our life, all we have to do is change the subconscious program. Now, in the past, I didn't even know what the subconscious was, let alone how to reprogram it. But thankfully, I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't know what it was in the fact that it controls how I think and feel and act and react like almost all the time. I mean, I just thought it like beat my heart and grew my hair and digested my food, like all the automated things, right? I didn't realize that when somebody said something to me, how I felt was because of my subconscious program. Had no idea. And so I created my own work. And then after a couple years, I started teaching other coaches and healers how to do my work. And now we have over 50 coaches certified in my work summit transformation. And I'm obsessed with the power of the subconscious mind because all of a sudden my marriage is healed. I was like this close to out, you know? I mean, 20 years of struggling, 100 sessions, forget about it. But I turned it all around with the subconscious mind.
I mean, that commitment to 100 sessions is pretty impressive. And so you talked about the 3-day event and then I guess what that sparked in your work. I would love to dig more into what you do. And so how are you able to get those transformations in a week? What's sort of the high level overview of the framework or approach that you use with clients now?
Yeah. So I love to ask people the golden question. I'll give you an example of a client I had last week. She's brand new. She came to me. She had part of her thyroid removed about 3 months ago. She couldn't swallow very well. She was having a lot of pain, a lot of stiffness. She had this big bump. And she was like, "Do you think you can help me?" And, you know, my classic answer is, you can do anything with the power of your mind, right? You're like, are you sure? Okay, let's see what we can do here. And so what I asked her is, how do you want to feel? This is my process. This is the golden question. How would you rather feel? So many times we focus on what we don't want, but what about what do you want? And she's like, I want to be able to swallow really easily without being like, ow, right? I want to move my head and neck super easily. I want the bump to go away, right? And so perfect. So what I do, muscle testing. Now here's the cool thing. You can muscle test remotely. You don't have to be in person. Yeah.
What? That's cool.
I know. I mean, think of it. You're in Australia. I'm in San Diego. How the heck in the airwaves somehow are these videos going like in instant time? And how many others are going on in the world at the same time? How does the right signal come to the right house instantaneously?
That's so cool.
I mean, it's amazing, right? Now look at our human body. How complex are we? I mean, if we weren't, then we could solve these physical problems. We wouldn't have cancer because it'd be like, oh, well, that's obvious. Here's how you fix it. I mean, we are complex. And so you've probably heard of like good vibes, bad vibes. Like you walk in a room and you're like, I like it here, right? I just like that girl. I don't know why. Just I feel comfortable around her, right? And then there's other times where you're like, I don't know what's going on in this place, but like get me out of here. Like bad vibes. Like, I don't know. That person, that room, that place, like, no, I'm not comfortable here. And so we can sense things. Now, and some of that's we're consciously aware of it, but a lot of it we're not even consciously aware. So when you say something to me with your permission, I would ask you if I could muscle test it. You're sending me an energetic signal. My body can read it. I do a little finger lock muscle test that I've learned how to do where I'm testing my body. Is she sending me a strong signal or a weak signal? I'm not consciously aware of it. My body can read it in a second. I mean, you could think it and my body could read it. I mean, yeah. And so with muscle testing, I figure out why this lady is still having problems. And so we discover what's going on. And we do some brain exercises that I created that repattern the subconscious mind. And then we set action plans like, okay, once we get your brain believing in the goal, or we find and clear the hidden block, or we make the discovery you need to know, then what are you going to do about it? We set action plans. And then a week later, we track her progress. And I met with her like 2 days ago. We had like 6 goals, I think. The one that had the worst improvement was 50% better, 50, which
Wow.
is still awesome. There was a 60, there were like 270s, there was an 80% better. One session, 1 week later. How was that?
Mm.
Because we changed her subconscious that was keeping everything stuck and where it was. And we changed her automatic thinking. And we set action to move her into succeeding in what she wanted to do. So that's my process. What do you want different? Brain exercise, action, track your progress.
It's mind blowing. And it's, I guess for anyone, I mean, it's taken me a while to be open minded to different modalities of healing that aren't traditional Western medicine. Similar to yourself, I didn't get a broken back, but I was desperate to heal and went to kinesiologists, and now I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a Reiki practitioner, all that sort of stuff. So I don't need to understand every minutiae detail to be like, there's something here and it works and I'm going to roll with it. But what would you say to someone who's just gone, no, you've lost me. I'm really skeptic about this. How would
Yeah.
you, what would you say to them right now?
Yeah. I mean, what's the harm in trying it?
Yeah,
You know? I
totally.
mean, first I would want to know like why are you resistant to it, you know? Are you not ready for the change?
Yeah.
Because it could be that, you know. Why not? If you can make your life better, why not give it a try?
Yeah.
That's all I would say. Why not? And if they're like, no, then okay. You know, it's like that thing when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You know, I used to, in the olden days, watch Oprah on TV, and I loved watching the movie stars and all that. But then when she would have somebody on, like Deepak Chopra, talking
Yeah.
about stuff like what I'm talking about right now, you know what I'd say? Oh, man, she's got some. Who's this guy? I'm not going to watch this today. I want to see Julia Roberts. I mean, come on,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready,
Love that.
you know? So I don't want anybody to use this work that I don't want anyone to feel forced into it.
Yeah.
But again, why not? I mean, scientifically now, we know about the power of the subconscious mind. We know it's a million times more powerful than your conscious mind. So if we know that, why not give it a try? There's a scientific way to change it. You don't have to do a rain dance or anything crazy. Scientifically change the brain. It changes the cellular response. It changes how you feel, think, act, react, create, manifest. I'll give you a couple examples with myself that we didn't talk about yet. I used to be scared to death to speak in public.
Mm.
I mean, scared to death. Why was I scared to death? My mother's scared to death to speak in public. I learned it. Subconscious
Mm.
program, right? Now, here's the problem. I'm a natural born leader.
Mm.
From when I was little, I was always put in charge of everything. Remember, I was born an adult. I'm like, I can run that. I can be in charge of that. I can do that. Right. But I was nervous.
Mm.
So at the same time, I was like this natural born leader, knew where I was going, but I also had this like fear of being seen.
Yeah.
So I would force myself into it because I liked it, but it was so uncomfortable.
Mm.
And so I didn't like that. I wanted to be like in alignment with myself. We're like, yeah, I'm this leader and yeah, I want to go places and yeah, I love getting up in front of people and speaking, right? And so what did I do? I reprogrammed my subconscious mind so that I love speaking in public. And guess who loves speaking in public now? Me. I mean, no nerves, none. They say you never get over that. You never get over that if you don't repattern your subconscious mind. I mean, literally no nerves. I can be sitting there blowing bubbles with my bubble gum while they're reading my introduction, and it doesn't feel any different than when they're not reading my introduction and they call me up on stage, and it's awesome. I love that because I feel like I have something to share,
Mm.
and it doesn't do me any good to feel like I have something to share and then get up there and be so scared and like, I mean, you used to be able to see my heart beating because I
Mm.
would like pound that hard. I mean, my throat would clench. I play the flute. Have you ever tried to play a flute with a clenched throat?
Ooh.
Hands shaking. It doesn't sound that good. I'm like, how do you perform when you have like these nerves, right? So, what is getting in your way? What's holding you back from what you're trying to create in your life? Flip it out, flip it around.
Mm.
Would you rather have it? That's the
Mm.
golden question. Train your brain to create that. Take action, do it. You'll be shocked about how easy it is. Absolutely shocked. Remember, the subconscious is a million times more
Mm.
powerful. So you're trying to overcome that power. You can temporarily. Don't blink your eyes. It's a subconscious program. You can overpower it until I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say next. And then I can't think to keep my eyes open because I'm trying to think of my words. And then I go back to my old ways.
Yeah.
It's why people can't lose weight.
Yeah.
It's why people can't get along. It's why people like can't stop doing something they want to stop doing.
Mm.
It's because the subconscious overpowers them. Now, there's a way to take the power back. And that's what I love. You have the power to change it. Anything you want, anytime.
And so if you've convinced, I won't say convince this person, everyone will find this work when they're ready. But if someone's like, this interview, I'm ready, want to jump both feet in, what's a really actionable step the listener can do in the next 24 to 48 hours to take that first step on this journey?
Yeah, make a list of what you want different in your life. It amazes me that sometimes clients are on our first session, they'll go, you know what? I actually feel so much better just by writing that list.
Yeah.
Like I have been focusing on all the negative things going on in my life,
Mm.
and you made me flip it around to like, how would I rather have it? And even put it in a positive affirmation type statement that we can program into the subconscious mind. So now I'm thinking in the positive instead of in the negative.
Mm.
Well, your thinking creates your feeling. If you don't like how you're feeling, it's because you thought something that caused a chemical reaction that caused you to feel that way.
Mm.
So you have to think in a new way. So they're thinking in a new way before we even get started.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. 10 things, top 10. What do you want different? Write it like it already exists in your life. Notice how you feel. Gosh, feels better.
Yeah. And I think that's why I've had experience with talk therapy. And I think that's why it can work a lot of the times because you're talking through things and you just have a different perspective. Sometimes you're in your own doom cycle, just having someone to
Yeah,
ask you, what do you actually want? Stop focusing on what you don't want. What's the outcome
right.
that you do want? And so love that as a
Like,
first step. And so if someone's written that 10 and they're like, cool, I need to jump into this deeper, where can they learn more about the incredible work it is that you do?
awesome. So my website is called balancedyou.org. Balancedyou.org.
And you mentioned you have an app. I would love for you to share a little bit more about that as well.
I do have an app. You know, my dream is to get this work into the hands of every person who wants to use it in a quick, easy, and affordable way. And you know, you guys are in Australia, so our time zones don't always work, right? I think is it Saturday morning for you?
Yeah, it's good at the moment. I think we're in daylight
Yeah.
savings, so we do have a nice little overlap at the morning, which is good.
Yeah, yeah. So you're Saturday morning, I'm Friday night, you know, like it's so interesting the time zones. I want you to be able to do this work 24/7 no matter where you live in the world. And so I created an app. It's called Leap Transformation. Leap like a frog. It has a frog on it. So go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and look for Leap Transformation with a frog and download the app. And the app is as close to you having an interactive session with me as you possibly can without actually having one. It's neuroscience based, it's gamified, it's fun, it's AI, it's interactive, and it asks you the golden question. How would you rather feel? Like, what's going on? Are you trying to feel better, solve a problem, achieve a goal, work on personal growth? Depending on what you say, it has you flip it into the positive. It takes you through a brain exercise to create that new reality in your brain. And then it helps you set an action plan. It tracks your progress. It does a little happy dance for you. It gives you coins that you can earn, that you can cash in to come to Zoom sessions with me every Tuesday. It's powerful. And as you do more and more of it, you can unlock new levels where not only can you repattern the subconscious mind, you can find and clear hidden blocks. I mean, I went all out on this app. I could have bought myself a new house, but instead I made you all an app.
Which I'm going to download as soon as I jump off this call and start
Yes,
playing. It
yes.
sounds incredible.
Yes, it's an awesome app. So it's free for a week, and then it's $14.99 US dollars a month. So it's
Oh,
super affordable. Yeah. And you can use it anytime. And I recommend people use it daily.
Yeah.
Why? If I want to be in shape, how often do I exercise? Every day. Why? It's good for me, right? I need to move my body, strengthen my body, stretch my body, all these things. The mind is the same way. 50 to 80,000 thoughts per day, 80% negative, 90% a repeat of yesterday. One brain exercise will help, but 2 would be better, and 10 would be better, and 100 would be better. Why? Because you want to get your brain in shape. You want to get in the driver's seat of your own life. And right now, your subconscious is in control. And so if you want to switch it, you've got to keep working on the mind. And so do it, make it part of your daily practice. Leap every morning, set an intention for your day, program your mind to support you in that goal, set an action and go get it. Make it happen. You can do it.
That is a mic drop moment. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Jenny, for your time today and for sharing your incredible story and journey with us. I so appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Miff. It was fun.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope this was helpful. If you thought of someone while listening to this podcast, I would be so grateful if you could share this episode with them. While you're doing that, please also take a moment to leave a review on the podcast if you haven't yet already. It takes less than a minute and it means so much to me and helps this podcast to reach more people just like you. Thank you so much for that, and I'll see you in the next episode. In the meantime, go out and achieve every dream you have, because actually, you can.